Hello guys, and welcome back to the third installment of Brioche knitting. Today we are going to just continue following up with where we left off last time, and then also I am going to just give you a rundown of all the pointers that you need to remember in order to be successful at brioche long term. So today we are starting where we left off. Both of our yarns have now come back to the same side of our stitches. So our main color, the purple, and our contrasting color, the blue, are both over here on the same side. When our colors are both on the same side, we are always going to take our main color and use that to work the next row. So I'm going to just get this blue out of my way, and I'll put the purple up above. Looking at my stitches here, I'm going to knit the first selvage edge stitch, and then I'm going to take a look and see what we've got going on. So if we look closely here, we have a single stitch, and you can see the stockinette V in the blue beneath it here. So right here is what I'm talking about. You see this loop of the blue and then a stitch coming out of it. Whenever we have a single stitch, we know that that stitch needs to be slipped with a yarn over. So the slip one yarn over. So I know that this stitch needs to be slipped with a yarn over because it did not have a partner. So now that I've slipped that stitch, and I know that my blue stockinette V's are coming up on this side, that tells me that this is my wrong side of the work and that I will be purling with my purple because my blue is my contrasting color. So the side where the stockinette V's are most visible will be the contrasting color side, will be the wrong side. So my next stitch here is a slip one yarn over on the needle, so I know that this one needs to be worked. Now I know that I just established that this side of my stitches is the side where the knit stitch or the stockinette V's showing are with my contrasting color. So I know that I'm not going to want to knit with my purple because that's my main color, and that will need to be the stockinette V's on the reverse side. So what that tells me is I will need to purl my next set of stitches. Brioche purl, meaning I purled the stitch together with its yarn over. So my next stitch again is a slip one yarn over. So my yarn is in front. I'm going to slip the stitch and catch the yarn over as I slip the stitch. Bring my yarn forward so that I can brioche purl the next stitch together with its yarn over. Again, my yarn is in front. I will slip one yarn over, bring my yarn forward, and brioche purl the next stitch together with its yarn over. Yarn is in front, slip one yarn over, yarn forward, brioche purl. And now, as before, I'll show you those same stitches worked English style, holding the yarn in my right hand. So my next stitch here, I need to bring my yarn forward, slip one, and for my English knitters, you'll have to actually wrap that yarn around to complete the yarn over. Yarn is in front, you're going to brioche purl the next two stitches, or pardon me, the stitch together with its yarn over. Yarn is still in front, so I'm going to slip one, complete my yarn over, brioche purl the next stitch together with its yarn over. Slip one, yarn over, brioche purl the next stitch together with its yarn over. Slip one, yarn over, brioche purl the next stitch together with its yarn over. I'm going to complete this row, and then we'll come back and talk about the shape of the stitches and what we need to know. So I've completed this row, and my yarn is once again on opposite ends of my stitches. So my main color is on one end, My contrasting color is on the other. We know now that that means we would need to slide our stitches down to the other end, like so that we could use our contrasting color for the next row. And we also know that this side of our work, if we look at it here, we see that this side has blue stockinette V's coming up on the front. So we know that we will be knitting on this side with our contrasting color. When we turn it around and look on this side, you can see those stockinette V's are in the purple. That's our main color. So when we would work this side, we would need to knit with our purple and purl with our blue. And when we work this side, we would do the opposite. We would knit with our blue and purl with our purple. And as before, we use the stitches on our needle to tell us what needs to happen next. That way, no matter what project you're working on, what pattern you're using, you can read those stitches and read your work and know what comes next. So for example, here on this, we've got the selvage edge knit stitch. Our next stitch on the needle is a slip-one yarn over. That tells us that stitch needs to be worked with its yarn over. We also see that it's a stockinette V of the blue, so that tells us we're going to knit with our contrasting color on this side of the work. The next stitch is a purple main color stitch, so we know that stitch will need to be slipped with a yarn over. In contrast, if we were on this side of our work and we had the selvage edge knit stitch and then the very next stitch was a slip-one yarn over here, we would look and see, we know that because this stitch already has a partner, it needs to be worked. But we can also tell that that is not a purple knit stitch. The one next to it over here is. Of course, we're out of order because I didn't work back to that yet, but for this example, it works. You can see that this would need to be purled because the stockinette V is on the opposite side. I hope that makes sense and is nice and clear for you to understand. My main focus is that you understand that you will be reading your stitches in order to know what comes next and how to work your stitches. You already know how to brioche knit, knitting the stitch together with its yarn over, and you also know how to brioche purl, purling a stitch together with its yarn over. Throw in the slip-one yarn overs between every other stitch, and you've got all of the tools you need in order to successfully brioche knit.